Welcome to Talk Hospitality to me. I'm your host, Farouk Rajab, and with me, my co-host, Victoria Majakamo. Victoria, how are you?
I am doing great besides freezing. But
Freezing. Well, yeah, the studio's a little cold,
but outside
but
is beautiful.
outside it's beautiful.
It is.
So we'll stick to the outside
Yes.
version of a day.
If we could film outside, that would be perfect.
I would love to film outside. That's a good idea. Can we take you outside with us? We have our crew here and they're saying no, Victoria.
I
I don't
know.
think outside is an option.
I guess not this time.
Not this time. Well, hopefully, that's a good idea, though. I like that.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll take the show on the road.
Yeah.
Right? So, are you excited for today's episode?
I'm very excited.
So, Greg Stevens has a great story. Pat's Italian, which is a iconic Rhode Island brand.
Mm-hmm.
Now, four, Greg? Four.
Yeah.
So, four locations. And what we do here on this show is we try to tell hospitality industry leaders their story, hopefully in hopes that we inspire the next generation to get into hospitality. So, Greg, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
We're excited.
I'm very excited myself.
Yeah, we want to know, you have such a great, I feel like, career pathway, and it wasn't all just in hospitality, right? So I kind of want to have you start off with where you grew up
Okay.
and then get into your first job, and then we'll kind of cover all the bases so everybody can learn everything about you.
There are a lot of bases to cover. Too.
Exactly.
Yes, this could be a long one. So I grew up in West Warwick,
Okay.
Rhode Island. I went to
Native Rhode Islander.
West Warwick High. I grew up on a farm that was half in West Warwick, half in Cranston.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the opportunity to either go to the Cranston schools or West Warwick schools. My parents chose West Warwick for me.
Okay.
Nice.
And I think my life would have been totally different in Cranston. I
Yeah.
don't know how it would have been different, but it would have been different. Because when I grew up, it was the Guidos versus,
Yeah.
West Warwick.
Yeah.
So, but I loved the people in West Warwick, a very Portuguese community, the Holy Ghost Hall, and all the friends I had there. I went through parochial schools until they were condemned, and we moved on, St. John, St. Anthony, St. Peter, and Paul's, and eventually to the new junior high in West Warwick. School was okay for me. I was very bored in school. I was kind of one of those hands-on guys, so I did really well in wood shop and mechanical drawing and even typing classes. But to sit
Okay.
there and listen to people talk, instructors, I had a hard time.
Yeah.
So I'd fall asleep a lot in class. And because of that, I quit school at 16,
Wow.
halfway through 11th grade. And
Yeah.
that'll always be a regret for me because I didn't get to graduate high school with my class. But I went work in the mills with my mom. We worked at Scott Laboratories. And I wouldn't give that up for anything, to be able to go to lunch every day with your mom.
Yeah.
Cotton's drugstore in Phoenix. It was just, I love those days. It was, whatever, $1.75 an hour, right? It took me about $6 a week. And then a couple years later, my class graduated. I went and got my GED, and I went to Roger Williams for architecture.
Wow.
So I thought that was going to be my career path. But once again, it was not a hands-on type job. So I bounced around in the mills. I worked at Electric Boat, Astromed. I drove truck, a lot of different things. But I always knew I had to be my own boss because I was a terrible employee.
Really?
Don't tell
I
your
didn't
staff
listen,
that.
and I always knew better than everybody else.
Of course, yeah.
So I knew I had to control the scenario. So at one point, I took a job up in Waltham, Mass.
Okay.
And back in the late 80s, Waltham, we never left Rhode Island. I mean, we're West Warwick, so we didn't even go to Providence. So to take a job up in Waltham was like driving up to New Hampshire somewhere.
You're like in a
so it was
different country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was a draftsman there, and then they recruited me into technical service and into sales. And then my brother called me up one day, and we were talking, and he said, there's this new craze out called mountain biking, right? It has
Yeah,
a straight
yeah.
handlebar, it has like 21 gears and the fat tires. And so I took one for a ride, and I said, this is going to be, everybody's going to want one of these. Because I had the 10-speed, I drove my 10-speed to work. And so I borrowed like 28,000, I think, on credit cards, and I contacted a few different bike brands, Diamondback and a couple others. I rented out a small 1,000 square foot space on the side of a Shaw's Market up in Sharon, Mass. And I gave my notice at work, and I left. I put together like 18 bikes, I think, on the floor. I had like Pearl Izumi clothing and all this stuff,
Wow.
and that's where it began. And I was successful from day one.
That's awesome.
I think I was a good salesman.
Yeah.
You know, everybody that
That
came
helps.
in, yeah, I would sell them, or they'd come back and they'd look around, they'd come back. So that was early 90s, so I did that for probably 15 years. But once again, I'm never satisfied with one small little store making a living. So I had to have a second store, or I had to have a bigger store.
Mm-hmm.
So I rented a place out in Foxborough. There was a jewelry store. I said, if you ever leave, I would like this spot. So she called me up. She goes, we'd like to go back down to the Cape if you want it. So I had 3,000 square feet.
Wow.
Then I took over the Coconut Records, and I had 5,000 square feet. And then I had all the top brands. Because getting into a business like that, you've never done it before, right? So I bought a book on how to repair bikes and how to build bikes, and that's where I started.
Wow.
Yeah, so I wasn't not afraid of that. But, you know, the area bike shops, very competitive. They're like, you can't carry Trek and you can't carry Specialized. And I said, oh, yeah, well, we'll see about that. So I met with the Trek rep, and within a month I had the Trek brand. And then
Wow.
they said, no, you'll never get Specialized. So I said, all right. So I flew out to Morgan Hill, California, met with the Specialized head of sales, and I came back with Specialized. So then I had the top 12 brands, and I did that for about 12 years, but it burned me out. I liked working with people. I liked selling. But the constant cold calling, everybody that walked in the door, I'm just looking, and you have to convert them to a buyer. It just really took its toll on me. So I said, what could I do where everybody that walks in the door is going to buy,
Yeah.
right? So I said, well, I remember in my early 20s, I was the chef at a place called A Touch of Italy in West Warwick. I said, let's look into the restaurant business. And, the rest is history, as they say.
Wow.
So I bought the Pat's Italian out of Johnston. Pat Orlando was the one that owned it. We looked at a bunch of places. We looked
Yeah.
at Neath's downtown, and we looked at Viola's on the hill. But there was something special about Pat's. When I walked in the door that night with the kids, my wife and the kids, and it was like we were transformed into a city in Italy. It was just really something. So I said, something just clicked. I said, this is it.
Wow. And what year was that?
2007.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just sped through
Yeah.
That's
about
That's
30
okay.
years.
No,
we'll
that's
take
great.
we'll take that.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back to talk more about your early cooking history, because you kind of
Okay.
like skipped through that. You
Yeah.
went fast, and I want to take you back to that.
All right.
So I'll take a quick
Bring me
break. We'll be back with Greg.
Sure.
We're glad to have you back. And if you're just tuning in, we're with Greg Stevens from Pat's Italian Restaurant. Greg, right before the break, Farouk wanted to take you back in time to when you
I
were in your
did,
20s
yeah.
and you were a chef. So can you touch
Was.
upon that
Well,
before we?
Yeah, and I love that. But like, was that your first hospitality job? Was it?
It was.
Okay, great. Sorry to interrupt you,
know,
Victoria.
a
No.
friend of
Really wanted to know which one was it.
My best friend growing up, Mark Torelli, and his brother Joey bought a place called A Touch of Italy in Arctic. And,
Yeah.
and it's about the size of a trailer, but all Italian. Did
Okay.
pizzas, grinders, and Italian dinners on the weekends. And they were in need of I'm not going to call myself a chef.
Okay.
A cook. So, and I really got into it. My girlfriend was one of the waitresses there, and I just loved the pace of it. My mind works better when I'm busy. So when it's like that, the call of a Friday night with everybody coming in the door and coordinating the slips and yelling for the waitress to come pick your food, hitting the bell to pick up their food. Yeah, I got the bug back then.
Very nice.
That's awesome. And so you said you wouldn't call yourself a chef. So do you ever cook at Pat's?
I do. I come up with most of the new menu items.
Okay.
And a good majority of the specials are usually on me. Yeah, I think I'm a pretty good cook.
Okay. So
Chef.
now you would call yourself a chef?
Now I call myself
Okay.
a chef.
So we upgraded.
Sure.
We upgraded.
Yeah, we upgraded.
Good. And so we talked about Pat's Italian in Johnston being the original location, but since then you have another 3 locations. So can you kind of talk about like the expanding and how all of that kind of happened?
How it came about. Yeah, I started out with the Pat's Italian in Johnston, and then I thought maybe after about 4 years of that, I said, I'd like to have one closer to where I live, which is Attleboro.
Okay.
So a spot became available in North Attleboro we called it Bellasano, named after my in-laws. And that went pretty well too. It was a big place, so it was a lot bigger than I really wanted. It had a big banquet room and everything. So we did that for a few years, and then we sold it. And then I came back home to Rhode Island, and I bought another place in North Kingstown that was Frankie's Italian Bistro, named after my wife's father.
Okay.
And then Wickford on the Water was Beach Rose Cafe. That became available, so I took that over.
Wow.
And my concept that I had been working on was called Uptown Burger Bar. It was craft beer, craft burgers. I've always wanted a burger place since I was a young kid. And these were unique burgers, like they were topped with like peaches, or there was like peach honey, and there was another one that had apples. But anyhow, that was kind of a dream for me.
Bougie burger. Was it smash burger or regular burger?
It was I think it was a 6-ounce, like all natural burger.
Yeah, nice.
Our concept back in 2016 was to be all compostable products. We tried to use kiosks to order. This was like 10 years ago, right? And tried to use kiosk to order, so cashless, and that didn't fly.
Yeah.
Wow.
People didn't want to hear cashless back then, and they didn't want to hear kiosk either.
Yeah.
The kids knew how to use their phones, but they didn't know how to really maneuver through. So families would come in, they'd expect the kid to place all the orders, but yeah, so that didn't take off like I expected. I think it would go better now because people are used to using the
Yeah.
kiosk and cashless and tap and pay and all that. So we tried to do that maybe a little too soon.
You're an early adopter. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we started eliminating those from our portfolio, and I looked for another Pat's Italian, and we came up with a place out in Coventry. Was Westcott House, a kid that I grew up with too that had that. I said that would make a nice Pat's Italian, and it took right off. But unfortunately, 2 weeks later, COVID started.
Oh, wow.
2020. So about 2 weeks after we opened, that hit. So it's taken a while to build it up out there. And then from there, I mentioned earlier my daughter, who went to school for marketing, Roger Williams, Rachel. She asked to get back into the restaurant business. I originally bought a place for her called Rachel's Cafe.
Oh, wow.
And she was right out of college, and it just wasn't her thing. And maybe she was just too young to manage a restaurant. But I think she grew up in the business with us. We were never home. I mean, it can be a tough business because you're working nights.
Yeah.
So she asked if she could come back to the business, so we bought one up in Cumberland for her.
Wow.
And then recently, about a year ago, I heard from a company called Good Homes that was converting former hotels into lower-priced apartment rooms.
Isn't that the old Sheraton on
The old
Airport
Sheraton.
Road? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they contacted me and they asked if I'd be interested in putting a Pat's Italian in the front. Somebody, I guess, said some nice things about us, and they thought that would be a great concept for the front. It took about a year and a half, but we got it done. That's our newest location, and I think it came out beautiful.
It did.
Didn't that come out nice?
It's very nice.
She visited me there.
Yep.
You and Faith. So yeah, that's where we're at now. So there's 4. I don't know that there'll be 5. There's
Would
a couple
you do
of things.
another concept and get away from the Pat's Italian
I
and
would
go
love
back
to
to
do
the burgers?
I would love to do my Uptown Burger Bar.
Yeah.
You
I think you should bring an Uptown Burger to Coventry.
I did try to. Another little place on the side of the McDonald's that was like,
Yeah.
it was a Hawaiian place or something.
It was a Hawaiian barbecue, yeah.
Yeah, and I tried to contact them a couple of times with no response really.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah,
It's been-
so yeah, Coventry's not a bad idea.
It's been for
Yeah,
sale
like
for quite some time.
It's
Just
not
try
all
it.
about you,
It is,
Victoria.
though.
Like,
At the end of the day, it is about me.
comes
you
For-
grow
down
up in
to us,
Coventry?
Stanley. Comes
What?
down to
You grew up in Coventry?
No, I grew up in Warwick, but
Oh,
I...
She lives in Coventry,
Yeah.
so she wants
So,
it
like, I
near
always
her
venture-
house.
She wants to near your house.
I mean, I
right?
can walk to Pat's, which is great. I get that.
Oh, you're over in Wood
Frequent
Estates?
flyer, yeah. So,
Oh.
but...
See, but a lot of my family came from Warwick, so it was kind of like a going back home experience
Yeah.
for me. My grandfather had Mickey Stevens Liquor, and I
Wow.
think the entrepreneurial spirit in our family, I think, came from him, because I always envied the fact that he had his own business, and I always wanted to as well.
Yeah.
So that's where we got from the bike shop. And once I was my own boss, things were much better.
Yeah.
Right?
Because now you
get along a lot better with
only have
people.
to answer to yourself, right?
That's right.
Right.
Every mistake I make is on me.
Yeah.
But Yeah, and so but the hospitality business it's a great living.
It is.
So what was your first moment that you were like, okay, I'm done with the bike shop and I know I want to go to hospitality. Like, that's it for me. Was there like an interaction, or it just kind of hit you all at once? Like, what did that look like?
Well, I think, I was going through a period of, my kids were small. David was probably 5 or 6, and Rachel was probably 2 or 3. And I just kind of felt like the bike, I just don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to have that downtime in the winter where I'm just sitting around painting walls. And I said, I need to do something different. So I mentioned it to my wife. I said, I just need to get out of this business. She goes, all right, that's fine. We can just go live in the car. I said, no, that's not what I mean. I said, it's still going to work, but this isn't it for me.
Yeah.
So she said, well, let's take a look at some different franchises. So I looked at like a Camille Sidewalk Cafe. I liked their colors, and they did, lunch and my accountant said, no, you don't want a franchise because it's kind of, you're paying to be just a manager. And so you're not going to do things on your own. So I said, all right, let's do away with that idea. And so we started looking at existing restaurants. And that's when I started getting excited again. Because I jumped right in. I didn't mind it. I bought an existing restaurant that was doing a tremendous business. And we took everything we had saved, every penny, and purchased this restaurant. So failure was not an option back then.
Yeah.
Right? You have 2 small kids, and this just has to work. And it was a little scary because Pat Orlando had a huge reputation, and we thought, he's not here anymore. Is everybody going to stop coming?
Yeah.
So it was important that we kept everything exactly the same.
Yeah.
The same cooks, same servers for the most part. Some left. And we did it. We did it. And business has probably tripled since it was going on 20 years. It'll be 20 years in July.
Wow. Gonna go back to a quick break, and we'll be right back with Greg Stevens from Pat's Italian.
Thanks for joining us again. And if you're just tuning in, we're with Greg Stevens from Pat's Italian Restaurant. So, Greg, how do you have a work-life balance owning 4 restaurants? What does that look like for you?
I didn't have one at one time.
Okay.
I had just a work balance. But now I found the time, and I realized the people that I put in place can handle it.
Yeah.
Right? I have a VP of operations, Brian Ouellette, started out as a busboy, worked his way up, and now he pretty much does what I do.
Awesome.
So I don't go into work anymore after the restaurant's open. It frees me up to do other things.
Yeah.
Right? My hobbies are I like to hike. I just came back from Zion National Park in Utah.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I go to Portugal. I go to the Azores to hike out there, some of the islands. I've written a couple of books.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are the names of the books?
Yeah, go for it.
The Silent Arrow is one. It's about the Great Swamp Massacre. It's pretty historical. It's about the Indians back in the day.
Okay.
And it's a different outcome than what eventually happened. And the second one is just it's about me, just my autobiography.
That's cool.
Yeah, Almost Free it's called.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good story.
I'll have to check it out on Amazon, right?
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Oh, I'm looking forward to buying my own copies, actually, of both, personally. So maybe next time you can sign it for me.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to do that.
Would the signature say Governor before your name?
It could.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm throwing my hat in the ring this year, only because I'm just tired of what I've seen for 50 years. And then I saw the people that are running this time, and I said, it's just going to be the same old thing over again. I'm going to change all that. So if you have property taxes, you should vote for me. If you own a business, vote for me. And if you want the bridge fixed, vote for me.
Got it.
I'm going to make it happen.
Wow.
I want all 3. But tell me a little bit more about your interest in. Are you running on a party line, or are you running as an independent?
As a Democrat.
As a Democrat.
Yeah.
And what is really the main driver? What have you seen that you would like to bring to the state as a governor?
Tourism.
Tourism.
I want to bring tourism back to the state. We have the best restaurants in the country.
We do.
Right? But we really do nothing to lure people here. We have this incredible coastline. And then we have roads like Route 4 that only goes north. I mean, there's so many things I've seen over the years. And even our sales tax system is bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're leaving so much money on the table that we could use. We're going to use that to put money back in the pockets of Rhode Islanders, and not in the special interests and utility companies, insurance companies. Yeah, I've got a pretty big agenda to work on.
Well, we're excited that you're focused on tourism, and we would love to talk more about that. But I know Victoria wants to talk about what you like on the menu. Like if you're on Pat's Italian menu, what is your favorite dish?
It's funny. We were talking about that on the way here. I called my daughter, and nobody makes a better chicken parm than Pat's Italian.
Ooh.
But, yeah, I know that's a high standard to meet, but try them. Try it out. You know, I can't even have it anywhere else. I've done it, but I can't have it anywhere else. Our chicken parm is the best.
What about the appetizer?
That'd be the mozzarella triangles.
I heard
waiting
those
for
might
you to
become,
bring that up.
National, like.
Those just sound.
Yeah, we've actually just made a deal to wholesale them through
Oh wow!
PFG. Yeah, so we just had our first order. In fact, we just got it packed yesterday.
Oh,
Or last week, I
congratulations.
should say.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Wow,
So you
I
may
didn't
see
know
them
that.
in
I
a-
was
in
just
a restaurant near you. You
Yeah.
may see our mozzarella triangles.
Will it say Pat's
Say Pat's
Italian?
Italian.
Who was your first customer?
Well, no, it goes to PFG, so
oh,
it's
okay.
up to their
so
reps
then
to
it's
sell
up
it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get Laura's to take him. You know, I like. I mean, they do a great job there. But I know you're going to ask me what's my favorite restaurant in Rhode Island, right?
Yeah. You read my mind or something. It's like, how do you know?
You watched
You're
the
studying
show
my episodes?
probably before.
I'm trying to. You know, that is such a tough one.
It shouldn't be tough. You already knew it was coming.
Yeah, I know. Gosh, there's so many good restaurants out there.
There
But
really is.
I go back to. I honestly, I'm having a real tough time with that one. If it's dinner, or if it's breakfast, or if it's lunch.
You can say all
pick.
three.
Your pick.
You can
you
pick
make,
all
make a
three.
decision.
You can, yeah.
I'd have. Well, I'm gonna say teas for breakfast.
I
Okay,
love
good
Tina.
choice.
Yeah,
He's-
good choice.
Incredible artist.
Yeah.
For dinner. Oh my God,
You live in Rhode Island, right? Don't
Yes,
you
I
have like a
do.
neighborhood spot that you go to? If
yeah,
you
but
just...
if I say
Yeah.
my favorite, it's actually Camden's Bowling Alley,
Oh,
We'll
really?
take
Wakefield.
We'll take it.
That's
we'll
fine.
Take it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the one then.
Yeah.
There
I'll
you
go
go.
right for dinner. They've great cheese ravioli and meatballs.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's your.
great homemade meal. I don't know who they've got back there cooking, but it's definitely a homemade food.
Wow. It's
So,
awesome.
what is what's I want to take you back to the governor race because
Okay.
I get excited. Sorry, Victoria. Victoria has her
I'm
own
gonna leave
questions.
for this
Yeah,
set.
Victoria's like
We'll just
doesn't
talk
talk politics. I talk politics. But what are you asking the people? Like, what are you if you want to put a message out there through this episode? What is your message to the Rhode Islanders, to the voters in this primary? I think it's September, correct?
Yeah, September for the primary. Is you know, I am there for the forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there for the seniors, especially the seniors. I'm there for the students. I'm there for the homeowners. You know, I'm one of you, is what I try to tell them. You know, and I know what they've gone through. I grew up in the mills. I didn't grow up on the Dunes Club or the fairways of Point Judith Country Club like someone that's running. I've been there. I've been through the struggles. I've run business. I've met payroll. I know what it takes to run a good business, profitable business, and I'm not going to waste money. You know, I'm going to audit every department. We're going to find out where the problem is, where our money's being wasted. You know, I want accountability. I want to know why these projects aren't being done. Are they over budget? You know, are they running over time, or is it just federal money and then we're just wasting it? But yeah,
Well-
I'll get to the bottom of it.
We appreciate that. We appreciate you putting yourself out there. We're not really, the show is just about career pathway, and we're glad that you shared yours with us. But we thank you for taking the time and
Yes.
coming and joining us today.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for the
Thank you very
opportunity.
much.
Enjoyed this.
Can't wait to
I would
stop
do it
by.
anytime.
Story. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.